TSLP versus TSLY is what we're talking about today. Kurv's ETF TSLP versus YieldMax's TSLY. We're comparing the two, seeing what all this feud is about. Why is Kurv punching holes and stabbing at YieldMax ETF and all these other funds on Twitter? What is happening? Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure Kurv is like stabbing at all these other ETFs because I don't think they have enough money. They had $9.36 million in assets, while Tesla's had 1.1 billion. But hey, money has nothing to do with it. Of course, it's not about how much is invested. It's about the strategy. Yeah, about that. So TSLP is Kurv ETF or Kurv whatever, I forgot their full whatever, Kurv Yields ETF. This is their ETF. It's 50.67% distribution rate compared to TSLY is currently at 65.59. If we look at their previous dividends, we could see that TSLP paid $1.03, and then 59, 49, 51, 51, 49. Right? So they paid it $1.03 recently for the two distributions. It could be said that this was paid because they had money held over for the rest from the past year that they've been trading, and for tax purposes, all that sorts. Who knows what the real reason for is for $1.30 and $1.30. I'm assuming they just had money left over and they decided to make some large payments. But even with those large payments, I still believe Tesla comes on top. And I say that not because I'm a Tesla investor and I am biased, but for many reasons which I can show you guys right now. First of all, I will make it clear. Yes, Kurv Yield Premium Strategy TSLP has grown in the past year by, where is the total growth? Why am I missing it? It's somewhere around here. There it is. 22.87% is how much TSLP has grown in the past year, while also delivering the dividends is delivered, which is $6.61. If we look at Tesla has fallen 31.52%, but it has delivered $10.54, right? So if we go ahead and take a look at the top, or the beginning of the year, which is what it's calculating, the starting price was $19.76 of that day, and now we're at $13.50. We fell roughly, what is that, $6. We fell roughly $6 in value from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, or on the time frame. But we've received $10, so technically, or 54 cents, so technically we are up, what is that, $4.50, right? Yeah, $4.50. With TSLP, $6.61 plus, how much did we start in the beginning of the year? We started at open of $24.75, closed at $29.93. That is math, quick math. That is $4. So 4 plus 6, 10. So they come out pretty even on the charts, but we could take an even closer look at that, and we could look at the Seeking Alpha chart, where TSLP comes at 59.62%. and TSLY comes in at 46.19%. And that's where you might be saying, end of the video, TSLP wins, total return is higher than TSLY, 59.62 for TSLP, 46.19 for TSLY. Video's over. Not so quite. The reason I am saying not so fast, not so quite, is because TSLP has returned in growth, right? We have the growth aspect of TSLP and all the Kurv ETFs. That's what they strive themselves for, is not to only keep your NAV stable, but also to provide growth while providing you a dividend, which, by the way, this distribution is skewed because of the $1.03. So do not look at this distribution. Their usual distributions for the past year have been 50, 49, 50, 49, 44, 43, 42. If we look at TSLY, that has been $1.81, 96, $1.64, 69, 68, 81, 80, and around that mark. Like, we went up and down, but we stayed around a high amount to where we were able to get $10.54 in annual dividends. Now, that is also with YieldMax ETF being almost half the cost of TSLP. So TSLP for $29.93 paid you $1.30, right? It's pretty, you might think that's pretty nice, but if you take TSLY, you could buy with that same $30, you could buy 2 shares of TSLY, which would have paid you If we take a look, where I think I skipped over. If we take a look, that would have paid you 71 cents. Times that by 2 because you have 2 shares, and that is $1.40. You just beat Kurv ETFs. Now, if we look at something that's not at the end of the year, let's go ahead and look at November, where it's $59.35. At $59.35, what date was that? That was on the 24th, ex-dividend 24th. If we look at Kurv on the 24th, let's find it. There you go. Oh, okay, 25th will do. I can't get the 24th. 25th will do. On the 25th, it opened up at 28.21. Now, for TSLY, on the 29th, 29th, we take a look at the 29th. On the 29th of November, TSLY opened up at 14.10. So 14.10 versus 28.21. We still could have bought 2 shares of TSLY with the same price of 1 Kurv share, and that would have got you $2.40. $2.40 for 2 shares that you would have had instead of getting $59.35 from Kurv. So that is where the secret really lies, right? Don't be mistaken by Kurv's banter on Twitter saying, oh my god, we are getting such high dividends of $1.30 and $1.30. That is all skewed to the higher side because they are paying at the end of the year. If we look at the rest of the years, it has not been that high. And sure, they do have growth in their stock of 22.87%. But once again, you are not invested for growth when you're investing in high yielding dividend ETFs. This is why they're at $9.36 million and they're not at $1.1 billion. Because when TSLY pays me money, I could go and spend it on whatever I want. When they give me my $1.20 per share, or even right now when it's 71 cents per share, I take that money gladly and go and spend it on whatever I want. Sure, the NAV value goes down, but hey, I got my money and I'm gonna go spend it on whatever I want. Now you could say they're just paying you back what you originally put in. Sure, you could say that. But in 2 years' time, if I'm able to continue to receive the same amount of distribution value, so if I'm able to get $1 and $1 and $1 and $1 over time, I will get my money back to where I am trading on just their money at this point. I am now taking all the money out that I've originally invested. So say I put $1,000 in, say 50% return is the average on a yearly. In 2 years, technically, on a good term, say everything goes well, technically in 2 to 3 years, I will receive my money back, assuming that distribution stays the same on my cost basis, meaning I am getting paid $1 on my first dividend from my $1,000 invested. I will continue to get that $1 month over month over month. Obviously, that does not stay like that all the time, as we've noticed before, and I showed you guys, it fluctuates from 64 to $1 to 96 to 81. But assuming they're able to keep it at that same value over and over and over, and say you decide to reinvest like maybe 50% or 25%, and I know people say, why do I need to reinvest into it? Well, do you want to lower your average cost and therefore have more shares and therefore have higher distribution, or continue to keep your distribution steady? There's many strategies to it, but overall, in the end of times, I will then receive my money back. I will get my money back in TSLY. And when I get my money back in TSLY, that $10.54, when I get that money back, I will go spend it on whatever I want. Do I want to buy JetQ? Do I want to buy AMZ? Do I want to buy Ably? Do I want to buy Misty? I could do whatever I want with my money. For all I want, you know what I could do? I could buy goddamn contracts on S&P 500 and experience growth with that, while still getting my dividends. Well, you know what Kurv does? Kurv, they don't pay you all the money they make. No. We withhold money so you don't experience NAV erosion. Why do I care? I don't care. I don't need 22.87% growth in my shares. I don't need it. Just give me the money. Let me do whatever I want with my money. 22.87%. Nice, cool. You grew the value of my shares, but guess what? I have to sell my shares. And what happens when I sell my shares to get that 22.87%? Guess what happens when I sell my shares to get that 22.87? Now I get less dividends because I have less shares because I sold to actually receive my 22.87% in growth. So I had to sell shares to get my money that they earned me with my money to where I have less shares now. So now their $1.30 distribution is going to end up giving me less because I have less shares. What's the fun in that? And sure, you could say I could reinvest my distributions back into Kurv, but then what's the point? What's the point then? If you don't want to reinvest into TSLY, because there's no point in reinvesting into TSLY because it's just a scam. Why you get a distribution, then you have to reinvest it? That's a scam. But then you're saying I could reinvest my Kurv dividends back into Kurv and then experience extra growth. But that's a scam. See, it just doesn't work both ways. And sure, you could say on the graph, TSLP wins over TSLY, and I'll agree with that. Total return, TSLP is better. They are better at withholding your cash and using your cash to then increase their growth and over and over and over again. I agree with that, but I rather have my cash and do what I want to do with it. I want to do what I want to do with my cash. I don't want no TSLP Kurv ETFs to control what I do with my cash, giving my cash and giving my cash now. Right? That is why I'm investing into YieldMax and QDT, because I don't want to wait a month anymore. I want to get it every single week, and I take that cash and I do whatever I want with it. And for God's sake, TSLY could go all the way down and do another reverse split and blah, 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 blah. It could do all of that. But guess what? At this point, I don't even know if it paid me all the money back. I haven't been tracking it. But guess what? I haven't put a dime into my account, my portfolio, but my portfolio has grown in 1 year by 70%. And I haven't put a dime into it since that 1 year. Because you know why? I take the distributions YieldMax gives me and go, thank you very much. Take that money that TSLY, YieldMax, Aptly, AMZ, all these ETFs give me, and I put it into other strategies, and it's able to continue to feed it over and over and over and over. And guess what? I buy more of those ETFs. I buy YieldMax, I buy QDT, I buy TSLY. I continue to buy and buy and buy into them. Of course, I split 50% of it into that, and then use the other 50% on other things such as option strategies, JEPQ, the S&P, other ETFs that hold their value and have growth. And that's why you need to have a portfolio in the first place that has diversity, because you need to have growth, you need to have income, and you need to have stability. And when you have all that in your portfolio, then you're not going to cry when your TSLY drops by the distribution date of that $1 that it paid you out. Right? And you're not going to cry when you have a margin call because you over leveraged your account to the tits with 100% leverage. And you're like, wah, I got margin called. I'm going to switch to TSLP because I can't get margin called now because it goes up. But you just have your dividend, and you have your dividend instead of 50%. Now you get 25% return. And now you have this fake 50% annualized because we paid you $1.30. But in reality, what you really got was 50, 60, 30, 40, 20, right? That's the reality of how it is. And I could say the same thing for TSLY. I'm not biased to TSLY. That 65.59% is not real. That is based off on the last distribution that we got of 71.70. And it was even higher before when we got $1.28. But guess what? I've invested them for maybe a little under 2 years. They've paid me out almost $5,000 in dividends, and at this point I don't even know if they paid me out my original amount. I don't even know. But guess what? If they did, great. Now I'm just trading on their money, and I can do whatever I want to do with their money. And guess what? I'm gonna end it off even better, right? It doesn't even end yet. Look, AMZP, right? Another great fund, AMZP from Kurv, 27.54 distribution rate. If we look at the dividends, it's also, we could see 70, 75, 64, and then what? 37, 37, 36, 32, 32. Oh, what happened? Why is it so low? Why is it so low, Kurv? Why is it so low? Oh, let's take a look at AMZ, right? Oh, distribution. Seems like distribution rate is higher for AMZP. Oh, let's take a look at AMZ, right? Let's take a look at AMZ. Uh-oh. Oh, I missed it. Hold up. I missed it. AMZ. Let's take a look. 86, $1, 76, 65, 47, 95, 97, right? So distributions are higher and lower, of course, for AMZ, but it stays pretty high with AMZ, of course, compared to the 40 cents. That's, we don't pay attention to that. We don't pay attention to that. But if we look at the charts, look at that. AMZ's up 42.91%, while AMZP is up 35.93%. So it's not about withholding your dividends and your options income to have growth. AMZ doesn't withhold it, but for some reason it's up 42.91%. So I don't know, man. That's just my opinion. I think Kurv got to stop throwing shade onto YieldMax ETF and all these other distribution companies. Like, what was it? What's the other one? The other one, I forgot the name. Defiance. Stop throwing shade on these other companies like YieldMax and Defiance, man. They're making it happen. They're paying you high distributions, and I take that money with happiness. I take that money, I go ahead and spend it on whatever I want, right? I could go ahead and reinvest it back into TSLY or YieldMax or QDT. Who the hell cares? But it's my money at the end of the day. There's no ETF company like Kurv going and saying, nah, we're going to keep it for safe keepings. Safe keepings. We need it to keep our NAV stable and have growth. So instead of you having to reinvest to keep your shares the same and you can receive the same distributions, no. Now you have to sell your shares at 22.57% growth. You have to time it perfectly, by the way. Time it perfectly and sell it at 22% growth, so then you could get that money they owe you. But hey, they're just withholding it for your sake. So instead of seeing a red line on your account and going, wah, red line, but at least you're going to be happy now, because now instead of a red line, you have green line, but now you're getting less distributions. That's been me. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a little bit of a rant, but honestly, TSLP and Kurv ETFs cannot compare themselves to YieldMax. Yes, sure, graphically they deliver better returns, total returns, but not for all funds. Not for all funds. TSLP is 59.62 versus 46.19. AMZY is 42.91 versus 35.93. So not all funds are better than YieldMax. There's other people that have said that and showed it in better graphs than I did. Not all the funds perform better than YieldMax ETFs, and they do not pay you all the dividends they owe you. They withhold it so they could keep the value up and growing. But in reality, if you have YieldMax, all the cash is yours. Do whatever you want with it. That has been me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for Group B distributions on Wednesday. Hopefully I'll be able to post it in the morning at 9 o'clock. That's going to be the new schedule on Wednesday. It's 9 o'clock every single Wednesday, posting the distribution announcements. See you guys on Wednesday. Peace.